Welcome to ComSpark. Today we are in Cincinnati, Ohio. My name is Olivia Kurry-Fuqua, and I will be your guest host. I'd like to welcome our guest, Rich Wills, the CIO of KMK Law. Thanks for being here this afternoon, Rich.
Sure, glad to be.
Absolutely, we appreciate your participation. So why don't you tell me a little bit about your background? I understand that you were in the hotel industry prior to coming to KMK Law. Can you tell me a little bit about how
Sure.
Things have changed within your role moving into a different industry? I mean, those are both industries where you have a lot of customer data that's very sensitive. Sure. Security is probably a pretty top priority then as it is now.
Mm-hmm. So my path into IT is a little bit different. I went to Michigan State University and graduated in their business school in their hotel and restaurant management program, and worked for about 13 years in the hotel business. Most of it in the operations end, food and beverage operations end, and then decided to get out of the hotel industry and started working with a local, a friend who was a consultant, independent consultant, and just to get into the industry. And one of his clients was the law firm that I now work for, KMK. And so 21 years ago, I was hired as just a PC support person after pulling wire and that kind of stuff with my friend for a few months. And so now, 21 years later, I've been the CIO of our firm for about 10 years. So from an information security standpoint, certainly when I was in the hotel business, we were just beginning to use computers and have networks within the hotel business. And as with most businesses, cybersecurity was not a thing then, but certainly now, as we've seen from the very well-known breaches in the Westin hotels and their acquisition of another hotel company and customer data, that certainly is a concern for them, as it is for those of us in the legal business. We're kind of a unique business in that we don't have a whole ton of formal regulation, but we service clients and hold information of our clients that most certainly do. The legal industry as an industry was probably behind the curve in information security compared to regulated industries like banking and medical and those kinds of industries. So we were probably a little slow on the take in terms of making cybersecurity a top priority for us. But that quickly came to fruition by virtue of our clients requiring that of us, and by virtue of some of the breaches that we've seen, the Panama Papers and all those kinds of things. It really caused us to get a clue and start to work toward really bringing cybersecurity to the top in terms of our priorities.
And it's surprising that you said that the legal industry isn't as regulated. You would think with the amount of client data that you all have that it would be a more scrutinized industry. So I guess that kind of leads me into my next question. A lot of people and IT leaders are looking at the cloud and how can they take advantage of the cloud, maximize the cloud. But there are some regulatory requirements that are preventing some of those industries from moving into the cloud. In an industry that's not as heavily regulated, do you all find those same challenges, or how are you navigating, your move or your interest in the cloud, maybe from some of the people at the top level at your firm?
Well, so for us, there hasn't been a lot of appetite to put our clients' information and our firm information in the public cloud. And with the kind of requirements that we get and surveys that we get from some of our clients, there are some, and we in the legal industry we talk amongst ourselves pretty frequently. Some of my counterparts have received requirements that they not store any of their information in a public cloud. Those sometimes come from long-term clients and large clients that after the firm has already moved, for instance, their document management system into a cloud-based system. So for us, we made the decision to move our production infrastructure into the cloud and our DR infrastructure into the cloud, but in a private cloud type scenario. So really it's more of an infrastructure as a service. our data isn't commingled with other customers' data for those vendors, and it really is basically taking an infrastructure that is dedicated to us only and moving our environment to those areas. So we started in that arena with DR as a service. We initially and for many years hosted our own or maintained our own DR environment with our own equipment in a data center, in our own rack, et cetera, et cetera. That becomes difficult to keep up with, to keep that equipment refreshed. It's in a remote location, difficult to get to, all the things that come along with that. So last year we moved our DR into DR as a service with a vendor and who has become a trusted partner of ours, and as sort of dipping our toe in the water to taking the rest of our production environment into that arena, which we're doing this year. So.
Awesome. Sounds like you guys have a lot of things going on. Are there any other projects that you want to highlight today, or anything else that you're doing as far as initiatives to grow the business or add more value from the IT side?
Well, as a 65-year-old law firm, there's a lot of we've always done it this way kind of thing. And in my 21 years there, certainly the landscape has changed dramatically. The technology that's available has changed dramatically. You know, a 65-year-old law firm still likes to do things the way that they've always done it. So for me, at this point in my career and at this point with our firm, you know, for the last several years, I have looked for ways to bring efficiency by virtue of technology to the firm. So things such as the whole new matter intake process, onboarding of new clients and new cases for those clients has been done in a very antiquated way, and so we're embarking on a project to, you know, put some electronic workflow behind it to take several important processes that are that come with every new client that comes on board, vetting conflicts of interest, making sure that, you know, a new client or a new matter isn't adverse to another client or matter that we're working on, those kinds of things, but to automate that and to make that process much more streamlined and much more efficient. There are other tools that we're talking about bringing to bear, some artificial intelligence things that were very much a part of our e-discovery practice over the past number of years that are now being applied to things such as contract review and creation and some of those kinds of things. That's down the road a little bit. Probably one of the most difficult things for us is to get good adoption of new technology amongst our internal clients, our internal customers, which are our lawyers and paralegals and secretaries. You know, there are many people at my firm that have been there for many years, longer than myself, and change is not easy. Mm-hmm. But that is something that we try to work through and try to get greater adoption by virtue of getting buy-in on the front end of a project, talking about problems and stating, you know, what if questions, what if you could do it this way, or what if you could do that more efficiently, or what would you think about this or that, and involving many of our internal clients in the selection process and decision-making process of some of the technology that we're bringing to bear to help make the business more efficient.
And it helps with the adoption, right, if
Sure,
you're involved
absolutely.
in that process.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Certainly the case.
Well, we appreciate you being here this afternoon, and like I said, thank you for participating in the discussion.
Sure, great.
Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks very much. Nice talking with you.
Absolutely. I would like to thank Rich for joining us today, and for those listening to the interview. To learn more, go to ComSpark.tech.